So my focus today will be two aspects, the well-being and effectiveness. And before getting into that, a little bit background about myself so that you understand where I'm coming from and why I am saying what I am saying. Okay. By profession, I'm an electronics and computer science engineer. Did master's courses in computer science from IISc and then worked in Indian Institute of Science for a couple of years on research projects. Then joined Aeronautical Development Agency, worked on military avionics on the light combat aircraft. You might have heard of that. It's called Tejas now. Very cherishable for me because it was with Abdul Kalam. He was the program director at that time. Then I joined Motorola when they started the software center in India. I was with Motorola for about 8 years in India and then in Singapore, covering the Asia Pacific region, Japan, Korea, China, Singapore, India, on a software excellence journey for Motorola. After coming back, I joined Mindtree. It's a software company. I was part of the founding management team and growing it up from a startup to 10,000 people global organization in 7 countries. So another wonderful journey and working with great leaders. Then we started our own company called PM Power Consulting. We do a lot of leadership development and what we call as agile or bringing business agility in IT organizations. So we integrate this all mindfulness into leadership development. So that has become a lot more acceptable now and people really appreciate and relate to that. A few things about my personal interest, which also relates to this topic. I like Hindustani classical music. I play tabla. I used to do a lot of gymnastics. Roman rings and parallel bars were my favorites. I like trekking, mountaineering, so it still continues. I'm a homeopathic practitioner because my elder brother is a homeopathic doctor. So I got interested and studied. In that process, I learned a lot about human anatomy, physiology, neurology, endocrinology, psychology, because these are the key aspects to understand the person in total. Especially homeopathy looks at in a holistic way than a disease way or a specialized way. And I have been practicing yoga meditation since many decades. I have seen profound impact of that on myself and people around me as well. So some of these will come through as we talk about in this session today. It will connect many of these dots. So as I said, well-being and effectiveness. If you have questions, you can ask me as we go along because we're a small team, we can discuss. These two are very interrelated, well-being and effectiveness. Obviously, to be more effective in whatever we do, we need this whole machine, what we call as body, mind, energy, needs to be in a good condition, right? That's about well-being. So the more we take care of this, we'll be good in whatever you do. Our effectiveness will be more, better. And when you are effective in whatever we do outside, it also affects our internal being in terms of our psychological, emotional, well-being. So these two are they reinforce each other actually. So that's why, and mindfulness is a great way which actually impacts both sides, and that's what we want to explore today. So first on the well-being aspect, I want to start with this happiness. If you look at whatever everybody is doing in the world is to be happy, isn't it? You just look at everybody, whatever they are doing, they want to be happy. That's the at least physical level, existential need for people. I want to be happy, or I want my happiness to continue for next many years. So I want to do something so that it doesn't deplete. So everybody's focus is actually to be happy. And now, if you look at, suppose if I ask you to draw your happiness graph, maybe you take a 1 month period. X-axis is timeline and Y-axis is your level of happiness. how does it look like? And versus similar graph for a small child, how does it look like? For a child, it might look something like this. Do you hear cuckoo singing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's quite loud because there is a park here, and it has louder voice than me and a sweeter voice than me actually. So this child, if you look at, they are most of the time happy, and once in a while they become unhappy, and then just they bounce back and become again happy. They start running and jumping, and right. Now if you look at adults like us, most of the time not so happy. Once in a while we become happy, again go back to not so happy state. And we have been such child in the past. So what did we do? Is this an achievement? Because all we are trying to say is whole life is to be happy, but we have turned it the other way. For us, something has to happen to become happy, isn't it? If I get something, I'll be happy. If something happens as I expected, I'll be happy. If somebody responds to me as I wanted, I'll be happy. So we have made it conditional. Whereas a child is totally unconditional. Why this change has happened? Any thoughts?
As we grow, we have more commitments, sir.
I know.
Maybe expectations.
Yes, expectations.
Yeah. Expectations from whom?
From ourselves and from others.
From others mainly.
Yeah. See, that expectation from others, we translate it into expectation on us, which we can control actually. It's in our control. I'll come to that in a while. Yeah, I hear this in all sessions whenever we do some things like this. People say, yeah, we have more responsibility, more commitment, children don't have. I think that's not the reason. Okay, I'll come to that. What has changed is children live in the present moment. We are not in the present moment. You look at your thoughts, again, we'll come to that experiment, okay? Most of the time, we are in the past or in the future. You start observing your own mind, okay? See, mindfulness is about becoming aware and, becoming more conscious. You start observing your thoughts, you will notice that 90% of the time, it will be either the past or the future. It will be worrying about, oh, why that person said like this? Oh, I should have done that. Or it will go to the future. I should do this, I should do that, all the planning activities. Or the fear, what if this happens? What if that happens? So the mind is constantly oscillating between the past and the future and very little on the present moment. But whatever we do as an action only happens in the present moment, right? Because past is gone, we don't have access, future is not there yet. Even planning for the future is a present moment activity. So the more we are in the present moment, we will be very effective. So the more we have responsibility, more we have commitment, more we should be in the present moment. But we do the other way. We keep oscillating between the past and the future more. This is the difference, basically. So as we become aware, we can actually deal with much more effectively about this phenomena. Now, another question. Success leads to happiness or happiness leads to success? What do you think?
Both happiness leads to success. Both are interlinked.
Two-way.
But which is first?
Happiness.
Yeah, that's a very politically correct answer. But what we do in day-to-day life is not that, if you notice again.
Yeah, success leads to happiness.
Yeah, we chase success because those are the expectations from the society, and we tend to meet that or our own expectations in certain way. But what happens in the paradigm of success leads to happiness, because we see all the ads in the TV, they become some success and they are smiling on the TVs, but their real life may be very different. So we get carried away by that. So success leads to happiness means I'm postponing happiness, because if that success happens, then I will be happy. So it's a conditional thing. If then else, if something happens, then I'll be happy. If I get something, then I'll be happy. And when that happens, again it moves. If something else has to happen, then I'll be happy. So we are making it a conditional thing. If you say success leads to happiness. On the other hand, you look at when are you more successful? When you are unhappy, depressed, angry, any negative emotion, or when you are joyful, pleasant, when are you most effective in whatever you are doing? When you are happy, isn't it? When you are in a pleasant state of mind. That means happiness is a prerequisite for success, because when you are happy, you are more effective in whatever you are doing. And when you are effective, results come and the success comes. And when success comes, it can add on to happiness. That's fine. But when you put this success leads to happiness paradigm, it gets into a negative spiral, because you constantly postpone. And when you are not happy, you are less effective. And when you are less effective, you get less results and less success. So it's a negative spiral. But you want to get success, you press more, throttle on that, it doesn't yield. It's a negative spiral. Whereas if you focus on happiness, when you are happy, you are more effective, and you are more effective, more results come, success comes, which add to happiness. That's fine. That's a positive spiral. Do you see that? And now we'll come to that as we go along. We can be happy unconditionally. Because of wrong education, wrong conditioning in the society, we have made things in a very wrong way. So we'll explore some more on that. If you have any questions, comments, or counter arguments, please bring up, okay? Because that will help others also to get clarity. Okay, now I want to take you through one chain reaction of this, how our mind affects our body. Because if you are happy, it leads to your well-being. And when your well-being is better, your effectiveness is better. We saw that first cycle, right? So how mind affects the body. I'm sure you are all aware of a lot of these things because you are in this field, but for us to kind of recollect in some way. So I'm taking one example as a threat to mind. For example, people say stress or fear or anxiety. All these are basically mind's perception of threat. Fear is not real. Again, you reflect that, okay? Fear is a false projection of the future by the mind. It's not real. A danger can be real. For example, there is a tiger right in front of you. That's a danger. That could be real. But what if tiger may come there? That is just an imagination. That's just a false projection by the mind. And most of our situations are these false projections. So what happens is mind perceives threat. It need not have to be very physical threat. For example, somebody giving a negative comment, criticizing, or even fear of failures, fear of criticism. All this in our work situations, all this mind feels as a threat. It's basically a threat to the identity. So when mind feels threat, it triggers this amygdala, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight instinct. I think you're all aware of this, right? So it was very useful for survival, especially when you are in jungles. If a prey can jump anytime, so I should be ready to run away or ready to fight. That's a survival instinct. And when this happens, many things happen. One of them is adrenaline increases. to prepare the body to either run away or to fight. And we know when adrenaline increases, heart rate increases, so that heart can pump more blood to all parts of the body, supply food and oxygen, and generate energy to fight or run away. And when heartbeat increases, blood pressure increases because it's the same pipes, more blood flowing like traffic jam. And if you observe at the same time, breathing becomes fast and shallow. Okay. I'll come to the breath. That's the most important point. Then metabolism increases. We burn more energy. Stomach ready for processing more food because it's like an engine, it has to supply now, right? And stomach thinks that there will be more food coming, and it starts producing more acid too, or all digestive enzymes to process them actually. And when so much of reaction is happening in the body, there is an overload of excretory system to deal with toxins. And when the toxins increase in the body, they imbalance the endocrine system, which are our chemical factories. And when endocrine systems go imbalance, they impact our emotions, moods, thinking. So it creates like fear, anxiety, anger, depression. Different people respond to threat differently. Some people can get depressed. Some people can become angry. All those kind of things become based on their preconditions. And when emotions go negative like this, mind perceives even bigger threat. It's like a panic cycle. It says, mind initially says, oh my God, this is a problem. Then this whole cycle happens, and then mind says, oh my God, this is a big problem. And then it increases even that. Oh my God, this is a very big problem. It just amplifies like that. So you reflect that situation, okay? In your own life, sometime in the past, now if you look back, at that time, something you thought, oh my God, it was such a big problem, end of life or something like that almost. Or I'll fail in some exam, whatever, I don't know. At that time, it appeared like such a big problem. Now, if you look back, now we'll say, oh, after all, it was not such a big issue. Because when this problem is in front of us, this amplification happens and the false projection of the mind to say it's a very big problem. Now you see the impact of this body-mind interaction. But it starts with mind, and you will see every part of the body gets affected. The heart problems, the BP problems, the respiratory problems, see acidities, kidney problems, all hormonal imbalances. You see so much, right? So the root cause is mind. But controlling mind is not easy. We'll come to that, how to do that. So if you have to break this cycle, one of the most powerful way, because we get caught up in this cycle, okay, we won't be even aware, because when the hormones take charge, they influence our mind and emotions so much, we won't even feel that I'm in trap of that actually, So the very powerful way to break this cycle is breath. Change the breathing pattern. If you notice, just like for every emotion, we have facial expression, right? Smileys, grumpies, we have all the emojis now. Just like that, for every emotion, there is a different breathing pattern. In fact, even temperature of the breath changes. So if you become aware and then change the breathing pattern, this whole cycle reverses. For example, you take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Your anxieties, your fears, even any negative emotions actually come down. You can experiment it. It's very instantaneous. Because you break this cycle then, this negative spiraling cycle. And breath is very easy to control. It's in your control. Whereas mind is very difficult to control. That's why in yogic system, breath is the very powerful thread used to. It's like, This puppet shows, right? You just do something here and the whole puppet dances. There's a small thread there. It's like that. This breath is that thread which activates anything in this whole mechanism or body, mind, energy. We'll come to that. Yogic system has actually understood its power. Modern medical science doesn't understand this. So this is, there is a key to deal with mind and body, and mind is the cause. That's why we need to bring focus on that. Are you all okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll do some small experiments, okay? And in fact, in this session, we'll be doing some small activities. It will be good if you are in a quiet, not disturbed place. If you are at home, sometimes, it's a big challenge. You can figure that out. So I'll be using this bell to start some activity and start some activity. Okay. Now I want you to sit straight wherever you are sitting straight. Sitting. You can be sitting in a chair, that's fine. Keep your spine straight and head straight. And close your eyes and observe thoughts when I ring this bell, okay? Close your eyes and observe thoughts, whatever comes up in your mind. Okay, open your eyes. Did you notice there are thoughts in the mind?
I didn't have any thoughts at Bharati here.
Yeah. What did you say?
I didn't have any thoughts. Just I closed my eyes. But I
Okay,
didn't.
that's good. In fact, you know what happens if I say observe your thoughts or observe your mind? That's a meditation technique. The moment you do that, you will notice that it goes blank. But if I leave you for some more time, I'm sure all thoughts will come. Oh, I have this job to do, these things to do. I have to talk to that person. All that will start coming up. In fact, if I had left you 1 minute more, probably many of you would have walked out of the class mentally. But physically being here, that's how volatile mind is. So I would suggest you once in a while just peep into the mind randomly. You can catch it red-handed. You will notice that there are so many thoughts in the mind. Any idea how many thoughts we get per day? What the medical research shows is that we get around 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And how many of them are useful? 99% of them are useless thoughts. They are recycling the same things, some past and future thoughts, absolutely no use actually. There is tremendous amount of waste that's happening in this, but we are not aware of that. So, and these thoughts drive a lot of our actions. When I say action, it need not have to be even physical action. Okay, you may be just sitting and you may be burning energy in your system because lot of thoughts, action happens in the body just by the thoughts. So how to control this, such a dynamic mind? How to deal with mind? See, if you say, oh, people say stress, right? Stress means too many thoughts in the head, essentially. So how can you control thoughts? If you say, oh, I'm getting too many thoughts, I want to reduce thoughts, that itself is another thought, right? You generate more thoughts. See, body you can control by giving instructions. If you say raise hand, leave it, it works. But for mind, if you say stop thinking, it will think more. It will rebel actually. You try that. For example, next 1 minute, let's all stop thinking. Can you do that exercise? If you say stop thinking, it will think more. So you can't control mind directly. We need very indirect approach to deal with mind. So all these things I'm leading towards mindfulness. It's a technique to do all these things, dealing with mind, and through that dealing with body, energy, everything. Okay, so this is on the well-being side, how it's going to impact. I'm just putting a context. Now I want to switch to the effectiveness part, because this is another part of our life where in our professional life, we want to be effective in our roles. So how can we achieve that? So here I want to draw your attention on emotional intelligence. You might have heard about IQ, right? High IQ person, high intelligent, etc. Emotional intelligence is not so known or not so popular or not well understood. It's becoming more and more known these days. Until early 90s, people thought that people with high IQ become very successful in life. But then a person called Daniel Goleman, through his research, he showed that people with high EQ become more successful in life, which is called emotional intelligence. That's why I said EQ is greater than IQ. And then he defined emotional intelligence in 5 components. And these emotional intelligence are called bedrock of leadership. The center part of that is self-awareness. Self-awareness means I know what my strengths are, what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at, what drives me, what motivates me, what puts me off, how I behave, and what's the impact of my behavior on others. Being aware of all these things is called self-awareness. And then self-regulation. Self-regulation is I moderate my emotions, thoughts with this self-awareness. For example, if somebody criticizes or does something to me and I become angry and shout at them, that's not self-regulation. Self-regulation is if somebody gives a negative feedback, I pause and say, okay, let me understand why the person is saying like that. Something like that. That means I self-regulate my thoughts and emotions. I'm not impulsive. Self-motivation. This is more like I'm driven by my internal inspirations, not so much by external factors. This is self-motivation. Empathy is about I understand other emotions, other people's emotions and thought processes. It's like this. If I'm not empathetic, I judge people based on my values. When I say values, I'm not talking about moral values, what I value as. For example, I say this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. Those are my values. And if I am not empathetic, I will say whoever matches my values, I say, good guy. Otherwise, I'll say bad guy. If I'm empathetic, I will understand that just like I have my values, somebody else have their own different values. For somebody else, something else is right, something else is wrong, something else is good, something else is bad. So I understand that and I respect that. So that is empathy. I'm able to put myself in the other person's shoe and see from other perspective. That's empathy. And social skill is, you can say empathy is interpersonal. Social skill is at a team level, group level, organization level. So these are extremely important in all our human interactions, be in a family with all relationships, spouses, children, parents, brothers, sisters, you can call any family relationships, and all this emotional intelligence is very important. You come to any social interactions in a society context or professional context, everywhere emotional intelligence becomes extremely important. because this is the core of all human interactions. That's why EQ is more important than IQ. Even in very highly intellectual technology organizations. I'll come to show that how it's manifesting that. And there's now a lot of neuroscience research. Again, I'm sure you are all aware of many of those things. You know that we have these two lobes of the brain, left brain, right brain. And left brain is all about logic, analysis, thinking, linear thinking, mathematics, language, facts, computation. Whereas right brain is more about creativity, imagination, intuition, feelings, visualization. So left brain is very high IQ oriented, right brain is highly EQ oriented. Where do you think our education system is? Highly left brain oriented, right? Other than people who take up more of arts and music and those fields, rest of the education is highly IQ oriented. In fact, in our education system, we filter out EQ people because they can't pass exams. So then we get high IQ people into the system in our industry, work environments. And then we expect them to be highly collaborative, good communications, interactions with people, have leadership qualities. All this is actually EQ oriented, right brain oriented. That is the big mismatch, especially in IT industry, we see that. And you know what happens to those high EQ people who get filtered out? Actually, they join politics. You just notice most of the people in the politics are not highly educated, having degrees, etc., PhDs. No, but they have immense potential to connect with people. They can connect with very diverse set of people. They can mobilize masses. That comes from the emotional intelligence. And then high EQ people come and rule the high IQ people, right? That's the strength of EQ. Unfortunately, this is our education system's some of the distortions, I would say. So I'll share these presentations later.
Did you say that EQ is, I mean, the politicians are EQ? High in EQ?
Yeah.
So they have no logic?
No, I don't see it's totally neither or nor. It's a bigger aspect. In fact, all of us need both, and there is different levels of development, I would say.
So are we born with this, or can this be cultivated?
Oh, this can be cultivated. Of course, there is some things comes through, factory fitted, but we can develop. In fact, whole yogic science is that we can completely change our system because we constantly generate new things in our body. In fact, in neuroscience, there is a lot of things, right? Neuroplasticity, cellular regeneration. If you just observe saliva, we are constantly manufacturing, right? And we know that blood cells last for 28 days. So we're constantly producing new blood cells. Cells in our digestive tract change in 3 days. That's what the research says. That means we are constantly producing new cells. So yogic system is about tuning this manufacturing process so that when you produce new cells, they come up in a new way, in a better way. That's why yogis can actually retain the body for a much longer time if they like. In fact, my own experience, for example, I used to have bifocal glasses for many years. Almost last 15 years, I don't use any glasses. I'm 60 now. My eyesight has changed. Obviously, something must have changed that. So we can actually change everything.
You don't need reading glasses either.
No reading, no driving glasses.
Oh dear. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. In fact, I used to have bifocal, that means both. I needed glass for both. So it's very much possible. Okay. So why I want to say this is a highly empowering actually. We can change. There is nothing restricting us. There is so much power within us. Only thing we don't know. See, this body mind energy is a very powerful vehicle, but we don't know what are its features and how to access those features. That's the problem. And whole yogic science is about that. And in our education, that is totally missed, unfortunately, especially in the modern education. It used to be in ancient education, but it's coming back now. And when it comes from the West, we wake up and look at it up. I'm using the word mindfulness because in many organizations, there is resistance if I say meditation, because they say, oh, it's spiritual, it's not secular, all this kind of nonsense, unfortunately. Okay. So what I wanted to show here is that to be effective in whatever we do in our life, both family, social, professional life, emotional intelligence is a very big part, much more important than IQ. And organizations are recognizing this. I'll show you how it's coming up in the corporate world as part of leadership development. Okay. In fact, now Western world is figuring out more of this, what they call as multiple intelligences. First IQ, then say emotional intelligence, then what's called intuitive intelligence. This is intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, intuitive intelligence. This is head, heart, gut. We talk about gut feel, right? And this high IQ world used to just dismiss the intuitive intelligence. But now they are recognizing intuitive intelligence is a lot more powerful than intellectual intelligence. In fact, there is a nice TED video. You can search and watch that. They say there is a second brain in the stomach. If you look at our intestine, it's 36 feet long and it's coiled like this. And there are a lot of neurons. And there is a lot of intelligence processing is happening. And that's why we say gut feel, right? We get that butterfly feeling. Many things happen in the gut. And gut and brain are very highly connected. But the intellect doesn't understand that. It's connected to the what's called basal ganglia in the backside of the brain, which is not connected to the prefrontal cortex, which is the intellectual or thinking brain. That's why this disconnect, the intellectual brain won't understand it. And we have placed too much emphasis on its intellectual brain and we dismiss everything else. So we need to silence this hyper intellectual mind. Then we have a lot more powerful intelligence, which will actually manifest. So I talked about emotional intelligence. There are these books, Theory of You, Conscious Business, or from Harvard, there is a book called Multiple Intelligences, if you want to explore all these things. And I talked about left brain, intellectual intelligence, the thinking brain, right brain, emotional intelligence, basal ganglia, the intuitive intelligence connected to gut, all those things. And this left brain works by thinking. That means I can think and I can see this is useful in a problem solving, technical, all those kind of things, logical, rational. But if you want to tap into this intelligence, emotional intelligence, intuitive intelligence, we need to silence this hyperthinking mind. By calming the mind, we access this intelligence actually. But our whole education is emphasized on thinking. And we are so conditioned to thinking that we can't even stop thinking. Now we are trying to teach people the whole aspect of not thinking. We do a lot of leadership programs. People come after 40, 50 years of age. And then now they're figuring out, oh my God, actually, I am wrongly conditioned. Oh, I need to decondition myself. I need to unlearn many things. So this whole way to calm the mind is through mindfulness. So this is where mindfulness is actually tapping into our holistic intelligence and making us more effective in whatever role we have to perform in the society, in the professional side, etc. And I'm going to show those things. So I'm basically putting these two contexts first, how well-being and how effectiveness, you can address both of them. Any questions so far? Okay. Now we'll do some more experiment. I'm talking about now mindful leadership, getting into a little bit more of how I can actually apply this. So again, I will use this bell. So whenever I ring this bell, now in the first instance, I want you to observe outside. When I ring this bell, close your eyes and observe outside of you, whatever you can observe, sound, smell, many things, okay? You can start. Close your eyes and observe outside. Open your eyes. So what did you observe? Maybe some traffic noise or people talking somewhere, or maybe some fan noise, etc. Right?
Yes, sir.
So some sound you would have observed. Now I want you to do another step. When I ring this bell now, close your eyes and observe within yourself what all you can observe. Okay? Close your eyes and observe within yourself. Okay, open your eyes. So what did you observe in this round?
Breathing.
Ah, wonderful. Breathing. Anything else? Maybe even thoughts. You observe some thoughts coming. Maybe heartbeat or pulse.
Felt that was going to my brain.
Ah,
Or something was going to my brain.
yeah. And maybe some body pains or aches, whatever if you have. So now, important question is, in this round, did you observe the outside, whatever you observed in the first round?
No.
Yeah, not so much. If there is too much noise, you might have still observed, but it's not so much probably, right? And it was still there. Another important question to reflect is, in the first round, did you observe that you are breathing, or there were thoughts, or heart was beating? Probably not. But I'm sure all that was happening, right? So what does this mean? This means we have some power through which I can become fully aware of what's happening around me. Or I can become very aware of what's happening within me. And with little bit practice, you can do both of them simultaneously. You can be fully aware within what's happening and aware what's happening outside. This is a great power actually. In fact, through this core of this emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness we talked about, right? You can start noticing what emotions are coming in you. Somebody says something, you can feel that, oh, I'm getting angry. In fact, anger is a process. If you notice, it's not an event. Okay, you can start feeling it. You know, ears start becoming hot, heart start becoming little, pulsating. You can actually observe few things happening in the body before you actually burst out. So if you are able to observe inside, you can say, oh, okay, I'm getting angry, but I don't have to act on that. You can diffuse it actually. You don't have to suppress. You can diffuse with awareness. And you can become very aware of outside. That means, oh, somebody is not actually feeling well. For example, even a meeting, you can feel whether people are connected. What is their body language? How are they feeling? The more we are able to do that, we connect with people much better. So this is a great power. This is called on-demand attention. I can become fully focused on something, or I can become fully aware of what's happening around me. It's like, torch of light. You beam it, wherever you beam it, that comes to your awareness. And you can switch on the full floodlight so that everything is in your awareness. And these are very, very possible. And it's amazing how much we operate in an ignorance, actually. So I'll show you a video now. Just watch that. Why now world is recognizing that mindfulness is a superpower.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
So, what is mindfulness? If you have to put a definition, it's something like this. Mindfulness is about being in the present moment with full awareness of what's happening within oneself, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and outside situations, people, and responding wisely and consciously rather than reacting compulsively. Does that make sense? So there are a few parts: being in the present moment, awareness of inside and outside, and then responding based on that awareness rather than reacting. So now what's happening? See, mindfulness as a movement as I think Bharati or Ramya mentioned, it's taken from Buddhism, which is from yogic sciences, basically meditation and breathing related. And in US, it started on the healthcare side to improve patients' conditions, especially the post-operative conditions. And later, because of its potential, it has become very popular in the organizations to develop leadership and people behaviors, people engagement, etc. And the leader in that is Google. Google has created a program called Search Inside Yourself. We know Google has created search outside in the internet. Now they're saying search inside yourself. This has three components: mindfulness practices, emotional intelligence, and neuroscience. They tied up with Stanford University for doing the neuroscience research. When you practice mindfulness, what happens in the brain, nervous system, endocrine system, hormones, etc. So they have a lot of those research validations now. And basically, Google wanted to drive innovation. They saw that if you have to drive innovation, you need to have diversity, diverse set of people coming together. If there is homogeneity, there is no innovation. And if you want to bring diverse set of people together and they have to collaborate, especially the high IQ people, you need high EQ. Otherwise, they will fight. There will be conflict. They don't agree on each other's ideas. There will be ego clashes. They saw all that, and they wanted to develop emotional intelligence in people. And there were no practical approaches of developing emotional intelligence. It was just a theory, because you can't develop EQ through an IQ approach. You can't develop EQ by reading a book or attending a training or watching a video, because they are very intellectual exercise. EQ can be developed only through practice, because it's a transformational. And that's where they saw this link. By mindfulness practice, it changes these certain things in the brain, in the nervous system, and in endocrine systems. People transform into higher emotional intelligence persons actually. This is the whole cycle. They saw it so much business impact to generate innovation, collaboration, and leadership development. So it became very popular. A lot of other companies started practicing it, and they spun it off as Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute, silly.org. You can look up there. They have published a lot of content, and this book is available on Flipkart, Amazon. Nice book to read. So we have done some joint program with them for Indian IT industries, corporate leaders. Very successful programs. Then we created our own program, because we know much more in Indian context, because all this is originated from India, right? We are sitting on the gold mine, but we're not aware of that. So we have created a program called Mind Power on mindful leadership. The whole focus is on managing outside by mastering inside. And the more complex situations and people you have to deal with outside, you need more inner mastery. So we have taken this tree metaphor. For example, if you get fruits in the tree, where do you work? You work at the roots, right? Just because fruits appear in the branches, if you hang around on the branches, you won't get fruit. So you nurture the roots, you get the fruits. There will be some lag. So this program addresses all these things, developing awareness inside, developing awareness outside, then sense and respond to self-regulate with empathy. We say doing mindful and being mindful. So this is 1 to 2 day kind of a workshop that we are doing with various corporates. Now we'll experience one technique, very simple technique, but very powerful. Only thing is you need to put into practice. That's all. It doesn't take time. It doesn't take much effort, but its effect is phenomenal. Are you all ready? So for this, you just sit relaxed wherever you are sitting with your head straight and back straight. And I'll be playing an audio clip. You just follow that instructions. Okay. So if you are in a quiet, undisturbed place, it will be very helpful now. So I'll play this audio clip. Just follow the instructions. Sit relaxed with your back and head straight. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to the breath. Start observing your breath. Breathe slowly and deeply with full inhalation and full exhalation. Keep observing the breath. Observe the sensations in the nostrils as you breathe in and breathe out. Observe the slight movement of the nostrils as you breathe in and breathe out. Observe the movement of chest and abdomen as you breathe in and breathe out. Continue to observe the breath. If any thoughts come, don't follow the thoughts. Gently bring back the attention to the breath. Continue to observe the breath. Slowly and gently open your eyes. Okay. How do you feel?
Feeling relaxed, sir.
Yeah, relaxed, quiet, little calm. Maybe,
Yeah,
right?
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, just
Yeah, sir.
just 3 minutes, you can actually see how much relax and calmness happens, quietening happens, and you feel light. So what happens is, this is the way to reduce thoughts in the mind.
So this itself, it is a type of medication. I'm sorry, meditation, no, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
So yes, sir. So,
I'm using different words so that people don't feel offended, so to say. This is one of the meditation techniques. It's a breath watch. See, basically, we feed energy into thoughts. That's why there are a lot of thoughts in the mind. If you pull the plug, thoughts will die down actually. If you don't feed energy to thoughts, they die down. Basically, by doing this, what we are doing is we are pulling the plug out of those all other thoughts. All those thoughts die down. That's why we feel relaxed. We feel calm. Almost within 2 minutes, you can feel it. One very important part is how to deal with attention going away from the breath. You know, if you just leave for some time, mind again wanders. You know, it already starts going into, I have to do that, I have to do this, or the past thought, future thoughts, right? So whenever mind wanders, important thing is don't criticize, saying that, oh my God, I'm not able to concentrate, or oh, my mind is going away again. Because if you do that, you get into a trap because you are generating more thoughts. That itself is a thought, right? Oh, my mind is wandering, is a thought. Oh, I'm not able to concentrate is another thought. So people think meditation means concentration. That's a very wrong perception. And they try to concentrate, which you try to force, and then mind gets agitated, and you will feel almost headache and, you know, more agitation than calmness. Whole idea is meditation is called art of non-doing, including non-thinking. That means you just notice, okay, thoughts are coming, mind is wandering. Just notice, bring back the attention to breath. Just keep doing that. So it takes practice for some days actually. This is called attention training. You know, just like if you have to build body muscles, you need to do exercise, right? It doesn't happen overnight.
sir, is there any time limit for this, sir? We have to do like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or in a place where there is no noise. Is there anything like this, sir?
See, if you do this early morning when you get up, just after wash, do this for 5 minutes. It will be very useful because morning our mind is very sensitive. You can observe this. How you start the day, the trajectory of the day goes like that actually. If you start the day with anxiety or irritation, frustration, day goes like that actually. If you start with quietness, calmness, pleasantness, the day goes like that. So you can set the trajectory of the day if you do this 5 minutes in the morning. And throughout the day, you keep doing it. It doesn't take time, even just few seconds if you do this. Bring the attention to breath. You will declutch this fast running mind. In fact, in many organizations where we have trained them, we have made it like what you call as mindful minute. You know, just 1 minute or 2 minute breath watch. For example, before starting a meeting, everybody does 2 minute breath watch. In fact, in the meeting rooms, conference halls, they have kept these kind of bells so that it reminds them, as well as they use it. Everybody just does 2 minutes breath watch before starting a meeting. And they have seen phenomenally positive impact of that because it takes the emotional baggage away. It reduces this anxiety and defensiveness of people, etc. People become more open, receptive, more collaborative. We have seen this actually. I'll show some of the results. We'll do the survey with them. after 6 months. And even for senior leaders, even in boardrooms and CEOs and direct reports for strategy planning, some places I conduct 10 minutes of meditation before they start their strategy planning. And they have seen it phenomenally effective that people engage in a constructive mode rather than a fighting and negative emotions and those modes. So it's very useful as a daily practice if you do it in the morning, 5 minutes, and then throughout the day, whenever you can do it. Before getting into some difficult conversation, before getting into a difficult meeting, or before getting into a presentation, if you are doing, for example, you just do this 1 minute breath watch. You will notice that you will be a lot more composed, calm. Okay. So you can do it anytime, even during the meeting. You can do it with open eyes. You don't have to close eyes. Can you do right now as you are listening and watching to me? You can take your attention to breath. Just do it, a couple of cycles of breathing. Right? You can do it. So this is called stealth operation. Nobody will notice. In a meeting, there is heated arguments. You are getting into that probably. You just do a 2 breath, even 3 breath, 1 breath. If you just bring your attention to breath, you will see that your emotional baggage will reduce. This is essentially extremely good for self-regulation. We talked about in the emotional intelligence, right? And it brings you here and now, because breath is here and now. It's not the past and future thoughts. So you will come to the present moment. It's so simple, but extremely powerful. Only thing is you need to practice it. This is not an intellectual thing. You listen and go back, nothing changes actually. But if you just bring even one simple practice of this, it phenomenally impacts. And if you consistently do this, I'll show you some of the neuroscience research from the Google Stanford research. Next slide, okay? There are many techniques. This is one I just wanted you to experience, and I'll be giving you references where you can explore and you can practice many things. So people have now observed mindfulness impact in many dimensions. One is on personal well-being, reduce stress, anxiety, because you can already see it, right? It calms down the mind, and improved physical mental health. Not just mental health, even improved physical health. Again, I'll show you our research. People have reported that. Why physical health improves? Now, again, modern medical science knows that almost 80% of the diseases are psychosomatic, caused by mind. Hardly 20% are pathogenic, caused by external invasion of bacteria and virus. That too, it happens because we lose our immunity. Otherwise, it will be even less. So mind has a phenomenal impact on the body. The moment you are able to take charge of the mind, physical health improves. Personal effectiveness, on-demand attention, focus, we saw that, right? Professional performance, more productive, because you are in the present moment. You are very contributing, being in the present moment. Social connect, better relationships, because you are not lost in your own thoughts and emotions and moods. You are able to sense other people and connect to them better. So relationship improves. And we have seen this, that people have reported, not just in office, even their family and social relationships have improved much better. Because people respond to us based on how we respond to them. And if I'm lost in my own mental trauma, I'm just walking around and I won't even connect to people. They also don't connect. Or I wrongly connect with people, create disturbances, it bounces back. So it's all that. So you can see multiple dimensions impact on that. So few neuroscience research, some of the things I'm showing here. Again, if you go to that site, you can see many of those Stanford research. One of them is how the brainwave frequency changes. Again, I'm sure you all are aware of these states of the brain waves. Normally the alpha state, which is our normal wake cycle, which is about 15 to 30 cycles per second, or rather the beta state. If you meditate or even this few minutes of this mindfulness practice, it comes to alpha state, which is about 7 to 14 cycles per second. If you do deeper meditation, theta state, even deeper, like 3 to 4 cycles per second. What is the significance of this reducing the frequency? This brainwave. Hello. Yeah.
Sir, what about the sleep pattern, sir? Sleep pattern, how is it? The reading happens, sir.
Yes. In fact, if you get deep sleep, it actually goes to lower frequencies, but many times you don't get deep sleep. Again, you know about REM and all those things, right? So in sleep, what happens is our input output are shut down, but our CPU and memory are still active. So that's why you get dreams, it plays back the data and all those. Whereas this totally relax this, it takes the sleep. I'll give you an analogy. If you are buying a mobile or a laptop or a computer, there is a specification called clock speed. And if you notice, 2 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, etc. Higher the clock speed, it consumes more power and dissipates more heat, those devices. Very similar thing. If you are running this CPU at a high frequency, it actually keeps this entire body metabolism in a high gear. You burn actually. You may think that I'm sleeping, but get up in the morning, still I don't feel fresh and don't feel relaxed, because it's almost like you have parked the car, but it's running at a high RPM. Engine is running at a high RPM. So this is an effective way to reduce that, clock speed of the CPU. And people have seen its effect. In fact, now there are headsets available. In fact, on Flipkart or Amazon, it's available for 10,000 rupees. It has a Bluetooth connection. You wear that headset and you can observe your brainwave frequency on your laptop. And you do this experiment and you can notice within few seconds, it actually comes down. It's that direct impact. Another one they have observed is neurotransmitters. I'm sure again you are aware of these things: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, opiates. And we are producing all this, right, within our body. And what we do is, in the modern medicine, we actually import chemicals. People say stress and go to doctor, they give antidepressant, which is essentially dopamine, and people temporarily feel relieved. If you take chemicals from outside, what happens is, it's very similar to importing goods from outside. For example, if you import a lot of goods from outside, what happens to the local industry? They die down, right? Very similar thing. If you import a lot of chemicals into this body, our internal chemical factories will shut down. So better way is we tune the manufacturing of these chemicals, because we are producing within us all of that. And now they have seen these mindfulness practices actually produce all these neurotransmitters in the optimum way. Now, for example, oxytocin. You might have heard there are oxytocin bars, right? People can go and breathe oxytocin and feel happy for a while. Again, that's not good because you're importing from outside. On the other hand, if you produce oxytocin, you will be pleasant, happy all the time, unconditionally. This is what I said in the beginning. We are seeking happiness. You can manufacture happiness because it's a chemistry. And when you manufacture happiness, you can distribute happiness to others, because everybody is seeking happiness. In fact, you can notice if leaders are happy, they attract so many people. Happy people attract people. Angry, depressed, or agitating, irritant people, everybody wants to run away from them, right? Automatically, you become a leader, because leader means what? You are influencing set of people positively. This is how we can actually manufacture happiness, because it's a chemistry. So like that, everything like this. I'm not going to too much details. Another thing they observed is what happens in the brain cells. So they saw this gray matter reduces in.
Sorry to disturb, Vishu. The
Yeah.
oxytocin, isn't it the hormone which is produced during the delivery?
Yeah, it produced in many occasions. I mean, we constantly produce it, not just in certain occasions. Its quantum volume may vary. That's my understanding of reading of current science.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Another observation, again, you can read in that silly.org, etc. Google, Stanford research, many things are there. Another thing they have observed is gray matter reduces in amygdala. You know about amygdala, right? Which is the trigger for fight or flight instinct, the reptilian brain, primitive brain. Whereas it increases gray matter in neocortex, which is called higher awareness learning brain. That means people naturally become, through this practice, less reacting person and more responding person. Less fight or flight instinct person, more higher awareness and composed person. So this is how this is transformational. This is not, I have to remember that I have to behave. I should moderate myself. I should not be angry. It doesn't work at an intellectual level because emotions hijack the intellect. So you can't develop emotional intelligence through an intellectual way. That's why. And this is the power Google found out through this research, that you can practically develop emotional intelligence through these practices rather than preaching them as a remember and try to behave, which was not working. That's why it has become so powerful. So a lot of research is that how corporates have used this, many case studies. In fact, I'm giving you some more references towards the end. I'll just point you towards that later. These are some of our own research. We have called more than 5,500 people in various levels, in various formats. In many of the workshops, after the workshop, we handhold them for 6 weeks to practice these techniques, because without practice, nothing changes. And after 6 weeks, we do this survey, and 88% people said that personal well-being improved, 77% said that work performance improved, 81% said that their interactions and collaborations with others improved. Many people gave a lot of qualitative comments. Somebody said, I'm more focused now. I get good sleep. In fact, we teach some techniques where before going to sleep, you switch off all your thoughts and go to deep sleep. So you don't get deep sleep because our mind is still very active. It's thinking something, worried, fear, all those kind of things. If you are able to switch off all these things, mind can go to deep sleep very easily. What is this? More calm in traffic jams. More responding than reacting. Self-confidence has improved. Don't get angry frequently. Now easier to solve incidents at work. Immensely helped in improved concentration and staying positive. Sense of peace of mind. Listening to others and allowing people to speak. Many things like this actually. Okay. Are you all okay so far? Any questions? Okay, so now I will teach one more technique. Then after that, I will kind of wind down. Okay. This is kind of uneven breathing, you can say. I'm just giving a name, so-called English name, not the yogic name. You can breathe away negative emotions very easily, instantaneously actually. And now the neuroscience research shows that. Again, I'm sure you know about this central nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is called fight or flight, right? It triggers whole metabolism, all the organs it actually activates. Whereas parasympathetic nervous system is called rest and digest. It calms down, cools down all the organs. And now the neuroscience shows that how the breath is connected to this. Inhale is connected to sympathetic nervous system and exhale is connected to parasympathetic nervous system. So if you do shorter inhale and longer exhale, it activates parasympathetic nervous system. You actually calm down, and vice versa. So through this, you can very easily manage all these things: BP, heart rate, stress, anxiety. You can experiment it, okay? In fact, I did this experiment. Even for 1 minute, if you do this, for example, if you do longer inhale, shorter exhale, I would suggest like this. In a normal state, you note down your pulse rate, okay? Then you do longer inhale and shorter exhale for 1 minute. You will see pulse rate already increases. And then leave 2 minutes and then do shorter inhale, longer exhale. You will notice pulse rate comes down actually. It is that instantaneous. And I published this on LinkedIn actually, and a lot of people tried and responded. They said it works wonderfully. So we'll learn this. There is one small technique here. You know, to control this breath, there is only one valve in the throat. Otherwise, you can't control breath, right? You can control it only through the diaphragm. For example, if you have to breathe out slowly, how do you do that? So you can throttle the valve here. There is a valve in the throat. How to feel that valve is like this. For example, if you have to say, open your mouth and say, just try that. You will see a pressure in the throat. You will see a pressure in the throat. That's a valve actually. And now you close your mouth and use that valve to exhale out. For example, while exhaling, you can hear my sound maybe feebly. That's how you can control through that valve, exhaling slowly, for example. So now what you do is you inhale normal with your normal rate, okay, and exhale slowly. You may hold for a while. For example, inhale, hold a moment. You can actually feel it, just a moment, okay. Then exhale slowly, hold a moment, then inhale normally. Just do this, try it out. While exhaling, just use this throat and make that. Don't apply too much pressure, just a little bit. Try it out. Just observe how quickly you can actually feel relaxed. So this is extremely powerful. In fact, if you are getting into a kind of anxiety, fear, in fact, for any negative emotion, only thing is you should detect that I'm getting into that. Just do this couple of cycles. You will see that it immediately you come to a very composed state. Very useful if you are doing, you know, in a meeting or doing a presentation or anything, okay, those moments. Okay, now I'm concluding with a couple of slides, then we can have even more question and answers.
Is that similar to the pranayam?
These are all pranayam only, actually. See, all, in fact, I should tell you one thing. In yogic system, everything is focused on the energy body. You know, we have these pancha koshas, annamaya, pranamaya, manonmaya, vijnanamaya, jnanamaya, etc. So annamaya is actually our physical body. Pranamaya is the energy body. Manonmaya is the mental body. Like that, it classifies. And it looks at this holistic system. And yogic system, the focus is on manonmaya and pranamaya, because they are the source, and physical manifestation is a outcome. In fact, you're controlling the manufacturing process, I said, right? Your hormones, your cells, all that happens through the energy body and the mental body. So yogic system, whatever we do is actually targeted towards that. That's why it's called pranayama, not swasayama. It's not about breath. We are using breath to control the prana, which is the energy body. I'm coming to that actually. I call this holistic mindfulness because in the modern mindfulness, that focus is very superficial, I would say. Real mindfulness is yoga. When I say yoga, it's not just asana, okay? People equate yoga equals asana. Asana is just one element, one limb, right? In Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 limbs. Asana is just one limb. Yoga in Sanskrit means union. It's integrating, it's making everything one. It's a union of body, mind, energy, and more actually. So this body, mind, energy are very interrelated. You can notice that, right? For example, if you hear some bad news which you didn't like, mind gets affected. Immediately you may feel all your energy drained, you know, diffused kind of thing. So mind affects energy. Mind affects body, we saw that. Psychosomatic diseases. Or even how hormones come up, right? And body affects mind. For example, what hormones we generate impacts our so much on the thinking, moods, emotions. And what we eat has, that's why that so much impact on mind. So body has impact on mind. Body has impact on energy. For example, you are feeling dull, you get into some rigorous activity, jogging or playing physical activity, you will feel energy rises. Similarly, energy impacts all of them. So these three are very interrelated. And that's why you need to use holistic approaches. That will be more powerful. And all yogic techniques are holistic approaches. They integrate all of them. That's why it's really powerful. Provided people understand and do it, and they learn the right thing. In fact, it's so powerful. For example, I haven't taken any allopathic medicines for last 20 years. No paracetamol, no antibiotics, no steroids, no headache, no analgesic medicines, nothing. It's possible. I talked about my eyesight changing, right? That means you can regenerate your body. So,
like if you get like fever or if you get headache, what you'll do, sir? You will not get.
No, I think fever is a body's response.
I'm just saying any ailment, sir, like anything.
No,
like
no, no. I'm giving you examples. No, I'm giving you examples.
Yeah. Okay.
Fever, cold, these are all body's reactions to an external invasion, basically, right? Fever, temperature rising is a mechanism to fight that essentially. And in the modern thing, we are suppressing it by putting a paracetamol. Whereas home remedies are very effective. I take home remedies, just certain kashayas, certain, you know, there is enough
like
of them.
ginger or garlic.
Yeah, all of them. And if you maintain lifestyle, food habits, practices like yoga, your immunity will be very good. And that's what I'm saying, prevention approaches. But preventive approaches are bad for industry, right?
Food habits also plays an important role, sir, for yoga. Food habits and eating habits also plays a
very important, very important, because whole body is generated out of the food that we eat, right? Whatever we eat gets converted to this body. Food is extremely important. Again, it's not understood. Modern understanding of food is a very, very superficial. I mean, looking at proteins, carbohydrates, those kind of things, which are more a molecular level. In yogic system, food is understood in terms of energy. That's a negative pranic, positive pranic, that ways. They're really, really impactful. I'm saying
Excuse me,
this.
sir.
Yeah.
Yoga has a another meaning of concentration. So
No,
how can we relate
no.
that meaning with the with this meaning?
No. Yoga doesn't mean concentration. Yoga means union. Yuj. It comes from the root yuj.
But according to the 4 Vedas, one Veda is given this meaning, but in some other Veda, it has a given an meaning of concentration. So how can you relate both these?
Concentration is a byproduct. If you look at Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, the first statement is Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
Nirodha.
Whole purpose of yoga is to reduce the wandering nature of mind. And yoga is a technology. There are a lot of techniques by doing which mind settles down. It becomes calm. You are not trying to force the mind to become calm. You can't do that. So you create a condition so that mind actually becomes calm. That's essentially.
How can we relate that meaning with this meaning?
See, byproduct is a concentration. When mind is not wandering, it's in the present moment, that is automatically concentration, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
if you try to force it into your concentration, you can't get concentration. You will get agitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yoga, as learned, sir, we are bringing the physical and mental state together. So that's like we have asanas and all these things. So we have to do proper breathing practice also to that. So it makes more effective.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
So that's what I learned from your listening, sir. So
Absolutely.
mind is the main thing. Like not only that yoga, the postures and the exercise and all these things.
Yes. In fact, people don't feel the effect of asanas sufficiently because when they're doing asanas, their mind is somewhere else. And when mind is somewhere else, that postures are not in the correct shape. See, in yoga, if you notice, yoga is not an exercise. Okay, yogasanas are not exercise. People again mistake that. If you look at yogasanas, they either stretch and hold or compress and hold, basically making the energy movement in the body. Their focus is energy movement in the body, and they create hollowness, flexibility in the body. That is the purpose of yoga, so that things flow in the body, fluids and energy and everything flows in the body. If you focus on exercise, which is like bodybuilding, muscle building, you actually create blockers in the body. If you notice, a lot of these bodybuilders, heavy weightlifters, they get into very big health problems because they have created such muscles which actually block the flow. So yogic system is to create flow in the body.
It's called Shroto Shodhana. It's called Shroto Shodhana.
Okay.
Unblocks the Shrotas.
Okay, good. So this is my recommendation, even in all corporate world. When I do this, focus on wholesome life, professional life, family and social life, personal and spiritual life. That means create space and time for that, because they reinforce each other. For example, if the family life has problems, you come to bring it to work life also, right? You can't separate this because we are the same people, same person. And if my mind and body health and conditions are not in good shape, it affects my professional life, family life, social life. And if I'm doing well in professional life, of course, it also carries back into family life, more happiness. And so these three are very reinforcing each other. We need to look at them in a balanced way. Again, people focus too much on professional side and miss out on the other side. It catches up sooner or later. In fact, when we do a lot of leadership programs, people who come to at 40, 50 age, they say that, oh my God, I'm wasted my life. I don't know how to manage myself. But that has been the first, that should have been the first step in the education. And that was in the ancient our education system. For example, Balya was actually playfully explore the existence. Brahmacharya was actually master the inside. It's all about knowing who we are and what are our faculties, how to master them. Then Grahastha is go out and manage the world. That used to be the step. And we have totally missed that Brahmacharya. See, Brahmacharya is wrongly understood as celibacy and so many things. It's about inner mastery. And now come to 40, 50 years age and figure out, oh, I don't know how to manage myself. That's the problem of the modern education. So I wrote this painting. I did this painting about 20 years back as a reminder for myself. If people have gone to Kovalam beach in Trivandrum, probably they may relate to it. So for me, this ocean here is a professional life. You go out and, and for a living, you work for that living. Then this is social family life. There is a village, hut and all here. You can't see this properly here. And this is spiritual life. And this is yin yang, balance of all these things. And that brings the wholesome life. Sometimes the pictures help to better retention. So I thought I'll just project this. So concluding now, a couple of resources. You can explore more on mindful leadership on our website, and you can download an ebook on mindfulness at work. And in this ebook, I have given a lot of research references from the world over, from neuroscience and many things actually. Then there are audio video guided practices. You can go here and play them or download. We just saw one, right? The breath watch. There are some more you can download from here. And also there are a ritual recommended here from morning to evening, what all you can do. And it doesn't take more than 15 minutes in a day. But that could greatly help actually. And then there are simple exercises for pandemic times, especially during COVID, too much online and sedentary work. Did a session for, we have a community called Roots and Shoots, old roots, new shoots. Mainly a lot of leaders from IT industry are part of that. So we keep doing some of the programs. This is a recording of one of the sessions. There's a lot of demonstrations. Again, you can look up and pick up some of the practice. And again, for the same community, I did one series of sessions, 5-part series. This is most comprehensive. If anybody wants to deep dive, okay, they're really deep. They go into more spiritual dimension. Okay, so I'll conclude with one small 2-minute, 2.5-minute video. After that, we'll take more question and answer and discussion, okay? Just watch this very nice video.
We can meditate everywhere, anytime, even 3 seconds, 2 seconds, while you're walking, while you're having coffee and tea, while you're having meeting, so you can meditate. Many people has a little bit misunderstanding about meditation. They think meditation meaning think of nothing, concentrate. So push too much. So we cannot block thought and emotion. In fact, we need thought and emotion. So whether you listen to your monkey mind or not, there's an issue. What I call monkey mind, mine is chatting, pala 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 yada yada. So monkey mind is giving your opinion. So whether you listen to opinion or not, it's up to you, right? So through meditation, what we do is we have to make friends with the monkey mind. But how to make friends? Just giving banana doesn't work, So right method is you need to give job to monkey mind. How to give job monkey mind? So the simple meditation technique is be aware of the breath. So you ask monkey mind, hello, what's breath? So monkey mind says, yeah, good idea. And be aware of breath. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. There's a lot of thought comes at the background. Don't care, no problem. So as long as if you're not forget your breath, anything is okay. Not need too much concentration. Just simply be aware of your breath. Breathe in, out, in, even 2 breath, 1 breath. So therefore, we can meditate everywhere, anytime.
So with that, I'll close, and thank you for inviting me, and thank you for attending this. So now open for any questions, discussions.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yep.
Sir, you have mentioned